guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and we know they are really groovy.
Hello, hello. I am your gal, and we have the two guys backstage champing at the bit. And yes, it is champing, not chomping, at the bit to talk about Anne Hathaway. Shakespeare's wife. Oh, no, it's not that one. It's a different one. It's the American actress. Of course, she does share the same name as Shakespeare's wife, but it gives her sort of an air of sophistication, I believe. Anne Hathaway is who we're talking about. She is one of the top grossing actresses in the entire world. And Rory Penland, you're going to hear from him in a moment. He's absolutely gaga over her. He just loves her. He's watched all of her movies. I'm watching his face backstage. That might not be accurate. Let's bring on your two guys, Manny Zamora and Rory, the man of 1,013 voices, Penland. Here you go.
Now, what I said before the show was I have to make a confession.
Okay, here we go. I set you up. Knock it down. There you go.
And that is, though she is a wonderful actress, she's a very accomplished actress. There's a lot of movies that she does, like the romantic comedies and chick flicks that I'm just not into that much. So my picks that you're going to hear today are basically the movies that I have seen of hers. It might not be your top five, but it's what I've seen. So that's my confession.
And it's not even midnight.
It's not even midnight, yes. And now, Manny, you have seen, now you are the one who brought her to the forefront here. And you, like many, many, many people in the world, she resonates with you. What is it that you like
She
most
does.
about Anne Hathaway? It's her joie de
Yeah.
vivre.
It's kind of weird because there was a period of time, I don't know if it's still true, where it was almost chic to kind of hate on Anne Hathaway. Like, oh, she's overrated. Oh, she's this. She thinks she's all that and all that. And I from what I've seen of her and interviews she's given, and she's been on other shows. She was on the not a karaoke show, but it's like this where they lip sync battle show where she absolutely nailed doing Miley Cyrus's like a wrecking ball. It's one of the most hilarious things you'll ever see. If you look it up on YouTube, Anne Hathaway singing or lip syncing to Wrecking Ball, it's incredible. So she seems like she's just a lot of fun, and I've seen a lot of her movies. But like Rory, I gotta admit, like Rory, yeah, I'm not all into some of the more romantic comedies or rom-coms that she's done. But she's done a lot of other things that are equally as interesting that are not, and so that's the ones we're going to talk about, I think. So
James Franco and she hosted the Oscars one year.
Mm-hmm.
And Franco said it was like working with the Tasmanian devil. She's just so full of energy and all over the place.
Yeah, that's the impression.
It is Troy Moore. It is.
Yeah. So. Well, I don't even remember who
I was
started
eating some Cheetos earlier.
Yum, Cheetos. Do you want to start us off with your number one?
I can.
All right.
I had a hard time deciding which one to do as number one because all of her performances are very intricate. But for some reason, her take on Catwoman in The Dark Knight really resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene towards the early part of the film where she actually is in a bar and she pretends that she's a victim. And I mean, her character just turns on a dime, and it's amazing. It's a really amazing scene. So that's kind of the way the Catwoman was in the comic book. She was very cunning.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't get a lot of that in the earlier versions of Catwoman, from like the 1966. Yeah, I mean, Julie Newmar and her character was funny, and She was clever.
Mm-hmm.
But this was more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just she was pretty devious when it came to dealing with other bad people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really like that performance, and so that's my number one.
Nice. Yeah, I Dark Knight Rises actually made it to my honorable mentions list, but it's very high there. Um, but yeah, it's a wonderful performance. Probably one of the best Catwomen that we've seen on film so far. Uh, I did enjoy Zoe Kravitz's version in The Batman, but yeah, like you said, she was very clever and very resourceful, and yeah, true to the comic. So
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Well, my number one is one of her early films, and it's if you're a fan of Shrek and The Princess Bride, you'd probably love this movie. Rory knows what I'm talking about. Ella Enchanted. Um, it's a fairy tale movie, and you can see the very young Anne Hathaway. It's one of her early movies. But it's funny and it's engaging. Her character is somebody that you just kind of you can't help but fall in love with his character. Uh, she plays a young girl who, when she's born, her fairy godmother gives her a gift, and it's the gift of obedience. So she literally has to do what anybody tells her to do right that moment until she gets another instruction. So as you can imagine, it causes some problems in her life, and hilarity ensues because of that. But it has all the fairy tale tropes. There's a handsome prince. There's an evil villain, played by Carrie Elways from The Princess Bride.
Hmm.
Except he's playing a villain this time.
Hmm.
And Vivica K. Fox plays the fairy godmother, who gives her this gift slash curse. Uh, and it's just a very entertaining movie. Lots of very kind of. It also has elements of a movie called The Knight's Tale the late Heath Ledger, where they play a lot of contemporary music. But it's also, like I said, comparable with Shrek as
Mm-hmm.
well. So I highly recommend this movie. I thought it was just fun, and her performance. I can see why people would think, yeah, this girl is going to be a major star, because she was already so good, and she's got a great singing voice as well. I mean, she gets to sing a couple of songs, and there's a great dance number at the end of the movie. Uh, and also, the only thing that disappointed me about this movie, and it's a minor complaint, is that Joanna Lumley, who you might know as Patsy from Absolutely Fabulous.
Absolutely fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, she plays the evil stepmother in this one, and she really needed to have a lot more screen time. Uh,
You
uh,
can never do wrong with more Joanna Lumley.
More Joanna Lumley is never too much. So that's my only complaint about this movie. We needed more Joanna Lumley. So, but otherwise, it's a wonderful movie. So that's my number
Yeah,
one.
I haven't seen it. I know that she started out with The Princess Diaries
Yeah.
with Julie Andrews, and that kind
Yes.
of probably led to this, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, the earliest movie I have on my list, I think, is Brokeback Mountain.
Okay.
So where she, and that's number 5. So we'll talk about that in a minute.
All right.
All right, my number
So,
2 is The Devil Wears Prada.
okay.
She goes through an amazing transformation. This is a coming of age movie, and as amazing as Meryl Streep is as the Wicked Witch of fashion,
Yeah.
um, uh, um, I watched very carefully the transformation of Anne Hathaway's character in this, from very mousy milk toast at the beginning to very strong, powerful, walking away from that at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, spoiler. But again, most people watch it for Meryl Streep's performance. But Anne Hathaway, it's her movie. Her character is the movie. So I give her all the kudos in the world for it. And again, an amazing transformation. She goes through different layers. You know, it's just amazing. So yeah, of all of her performances, that one really stands out with me.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about this movie when we talked about Meryl Streep. This is one of the ones that was, I think, on both our lists. And yeah, it's an incredible performance from her. But you're right, watching Anne Hathaway, kind of the transfer, like you said, the transformation that she goes through over the course of the movie. And it's the movie where she became best buds with Emily Blunt, and they've remained friends ever since. And if you see them in interviews together, oh my God, it's kind of like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, that kind of relationship where they're kind of always kind of sniping at each other, but it's in a funny, and you can tell that they're just really, really good friends.
Blunt is very good at the beginning of the film too.
Yeah.
Can I play a clip from Devil Wears Prada?
Please.
Sure.
All right, so this has
Stanley Tucci.
yeah, Stanley Tucci. Come on, it doesn't get any better than Stanley Tucci.
And
so
Stanley Tucci, yeah.
here he goes.
Tucci.
Any moment we get with the Tooch is great.
The Tooch.
Let's the Shalhoub and the Tooch. There
The
we go.
Shalhoub and the Tooch.
Yeah.
They should make a movie together.
She hates me, Nigel.
And that's my problem because, oh, wait, no, it's not my problem.
I don't know what else I can do, because if I do something right, it's unacknowledged. She doesn't even say thank you. But if I do something wrong, she is vicious.
So quit.
What?
Quit. I can get another girl to take your job in 5 minutes. One who really wants it.
But no, I don't want to quit. That's not fair. But I'm just saying that I would just like a little credit for the fact that I'm killing myself trying.
The sigh he does at the end there.
Yeah. Let that be a lesson to you girls. Fashion doesn't care.
Stanley
It's all
Tucci
about the
doesn't care
pain.
when he's doing fashion
Oh,
either. Yeah.
Stanley
no.
Tucci. Yeah, he's another standout in that movie. Of course, he's a standout in any movie he's in. It's just amazing. So, yeah, okay. Good choice. All right, so my number 2 is one of slightly more recent movie of hers, and it's probably going to be the oddest movie on the list, and that is Colossal.
Okay.
This is a movie, when I saw the trailer, I thought it was going to be just a goofy, almost a comedy kind of deal, but it's not. It's actually very dramatic. Anne Hathaway plays a character named Gloria, who is a heavy drinker and kind of crossing the border into alcoholism. She lives in New York, but she winds up getting kicked out of her boyfriend's apartment, so she moves back to her hometown, where she meets up with an old school friend, Jason Sudeikis. And at first you think, oh, he seems like a really nice guy, and he gives her a job at his bar and all this stuff. But as the movie progresses, you realize he's not the nice guy that you think he is. And they both have this weird power where they almost sort of subconsciously create or summon these giant creatures. She summons this kind of kaiju-like monster that seems to be terrorizing Seoul, Korea, and he creates this giant robot kind of deal. And as you might expect, that causes not only problems for obviously the people of Korea, but a problem with them as well. I don't want to give away too much, so I don't want to spoil it, because really this needs to be watched. And there's some funny parts to it, but it really gets dark in the second half of the movie. as you kind of realize why these things are happening, why they manifest these monsters, and you see Jason, his character named Oscar, becoming darker and darker as the movie progresses. It's another one where it's definitely where this journey, where at first you see her as kind of being very irresponsible, and she doesn't care, that she doesn't seem to think it's a problem. But as the movie progresses, you see her kind of growing and really becoming a better person. And a lot of it is due to this weird thing that she can do. So it's I honestly I thought, oh, I'm not gonna like this movie, but after I saw it, I was like, wow, was I wrong? This is actually a really good movie. And if you haven't seen it, I definitely highly recommend it.
I'll have to check it out.
It starts a bit slow. I do have to warn you. It starts a bit slow. It does take a bit time to get rolling, but once it does, it's worth the watch. It's worth waiting for what happens. I mean, really, the plot really starts. The movie really starts rolling once she goes home to her little hometown, and then things start to happen. So, but anyway, so that's my number 2.
Okay. My number 3. Actually, I want to switch too. I'm going to switch my number 3 with my number 4. My number 3 is Les Miserables.
Okay.
Not the happiest movie you'll ever see. And it's a musical. Go figure. What happens to her in this movie is just horrific. And you can see it, you can feel it. She does a great job of getting across that all of this is unpleasant and not fun. And yeah, she's just she does a good job in it of being La Miserable. As does Jackman.
Yeah.
So yeah, I planned something feel good after. But, yeah, definitely good performances by the cast.
Yeah.
You've got Russell Crowe. You've got Sacha Baron Cohen. Just a really good cast, and but it is based on a very dark musical.
Yeah. Well, based on a very dark book. I think it was Victor Hugo. And yeah, they made it to a musical. But and it almost made my top 5. It was on there for a while, but other things bumped it out. But it's mainly because she's not the star, even though her performance is amazing. It's
true. It's true.
And she's only in it for, I don't know, what, 10, 15 minutes. But her rendition of I Dreamed a Dream, holy cow, if you're not a sobbing mess by the end of it, you have no heart. I mean, it's that powerful. Probably the best rendition since, I don't know, Susan Boyle sang it for her audition. And yeah, it is a very heartbreaking performance. But it just, I felt like, no, I want to concentrate on movies where she's, much more prominent. But no, that's not to take anything away from her performance in Les Miserables and just the movie in general. Although Russell Crowe singing, yeah, not good. not particularly good.
His band is carrying the world,
Yeah. So
Russell Crowe.
All right.
He's gonna throw a phone at you.
Yeah. I would not want to tangle with him. in any sense. Um, okay.
Your number 3.
My number 3 is Interstellar.
Okay.
Her little sci-fi movie that she did with McConaughey, where they're going
All
out to
right.
fight. All right, all right, all right. We're
Uh-huh,
gonna go
that's
in
right.
this little black hole over here and go do some time traveling. Uh, and she's really her performance. Uh, I liked her in this role. She's the co-pilot, and usually, women in science fiction are generally victims, or generally, the girl that is to be rescued, or whatever, with few exceptions, and then you get the Ripleys, uh, like from Alien and other characters like that. But for the most part, they're usually kind of secondary characters,
Mm.
But this one, she plays just as big a role, and she's very competent and very knowledgeable. And I thought that she held her own against McConaughey and his character, even though the movie's really about him and him and his part in it. And also, it raises the question: how many times do we have to go into space to rescue Matt Damon? I mean, why does he keep getting lost? You know, it's like every few movies, it's about rescuing Matt Damon from something.
Now,
So
I'm gonna cryo-freeze Matt Damon.
Exactly. It's like,
Wait a minute.
is he lost
Didn't they send you
again?
to Mars?
Yeah.
You ended up in the wormhole? Wait a minute.
Yeah, which
Weren't
is
you growing
kind of,
potatoes and poo?
yeah. Uh, but that was kind of an interesting cameo. I wasn't. It's like, oh, Damon again. We have to rescue his ass. Jeez. So, but anyway, it's a very
Stop getting
trippy.
lost in space.
Yeah, it's a trippy sci-fi movie. It's up there with 2001: A Space Odyssey, I think. But yeah, Anne Hathaway. I liked her scientist lady, and I think she made a very good foil against Matthew McConaughey and his astronaut. So anyway, so that's my number 2, or my number 3 rather.
Okay. It's on my honorable mention list. It's high up on the list. It's Chris Nolan, so you know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Again, the ending is a little depressing.
Yeah.
But good performances all around. Yes, agreed. My number 4, which was my number 3, I told a few seconds ago. I was just really surprised that I enjoyed this, because I'm a huge fan of the original, and it's called The Witches by Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
And the original had Angelica Houston as the head queen of all the witches.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're an Anne Hathaway fan, watch this version. But if you're a Roald Dahl fan, watch the original. Because it's got better mouses. It's got better witches. But you can tell she's enjoying playing the queen of the witches, the head witch, whatever you want to call her.
Mm-hmm.
And very nasty character, nasty looking, believe it or not. And these witches only have like one toe, and their fingers are kind of weird. And she's got the kind of the Joker split in her face, and she's got sharp teeth. And so when she's angry and she's focusing on the quote kids who have become mouses in this story, it's a kid story like James and the Giant Peach and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by the same author, Roald Dahl, and even the BFG, the big fucking giant.
Friendly. I know. I always want to call
Friendly,
him a
big
fucking
friendly
so
giant.
friendly giant.
Okay, friendly.
It's a big fucking giant
That's
over
a big
here.
fucking giant, if you
That's,
ask
that's,
me.
that's the New York version.
That's the New York. Yeah, big fucking giant walking around with these kids.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so there's the moment right there, folks, right there in the show. That's the moment. But no, again, both films are entertaining, and again, watching Anne Hathaway chew up the scenery as the head of the Witch Society of Witches is fun. So yeah, we got some laughs from Troy Moore on that. I amuse you. So yeah, again, surprising that it made the top 5 list. It probably should have just been an honorable mention, but I really did enjoy her shtick. So there it is. That's number 4.
Yeah, it was entertaining. I didn't add it to my honorable mentions list. Only, yeah, I just feel like the Angelica Houston version, the original version, is so much better. I think they went too far with the CGI on this one. Yeah, she
I
was
think
good.
the
I did like her.
CGI just isn't that good. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not Industrial Light and Magic CGI. It's some smaller company, I'm
yeah,
guessing,
yeah,
and it just wasn't that effective, and that hurt the film for me, like you said,
yeah.
And I think it was Jim Henson and his group that did the mice, and yeah, but it wasn't as bad as Beaster Day.
Thank
That's for
you,
another
thank you for that.
show. The Smoochie is this one. That's
Yeah,
for another show.
that's that other. Yeah, it's not. There you
There it
go.
is.
There you
Not as
go.
bad as Death of Smoochie. No, it was not. Again, her performance is fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I think Jim Henson and his group did the mice for the first movie.
yes.
So they looked really very realistic, and yeah, they pulled it off. Where poor CGI kind of failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but not a terrible movie, just
No,
not as good as it could be,
not as good as the first one.
and not as bad as Death to Smoochie. So
Yes, not as bad as Death of Smoochie by any
so
means.
by any means.
By any
So
means.
yeah. Well, my number 4 is Devil Wears Prada. So we've already kind of talked about that one.
Okay.
And my favorite scene, even though it doesn't really, well, it does include Anne Hathaway, but is the speech that Meryl Streep gives her about the color cerulean, the cerulean blue, and as a way of kind of putting in her place, basically, of, oh, you think you're so above fashion, you don't even know the color that you just picked that out of a rack or something because you thought it was, you loved that color blue, but you don't even know the history of it. And so she goes through the whole history of cerulean blue. And it's oh, is this it? Is this the scene?
Yep,
Yes, let's show it.
this is the scene. Let's show it.
For
All
this
right.
strap. Why is no one ready?
Here. It's a tough call. They're so different.
Mm. Something funny?
Oops.
No, nothing's, it's just that both those belts look exactly the same to me. I'm still learning about this stuff and,
This stuff? Oh,
Oops.
okay. I see. You think this has nothing to do with you. You go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back. But what you don't know is that that sweater is not just blue, it's not turquoise, it's not lapis, it's actually cerulean. And you're also blithely unaware of the fact that in 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns. And then I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers. And then it filtered down through the department stores and then trickled on down into some tragic casual corner where you no doubt fished it out of some clearance bin. However, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when in fact you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room from a pile of stuff.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeesh. Yeah, it's unfortunate that the audio was out of sync, but yeah, still, damn, damn.
Mm.
Talk about putting somebody in their place. Thank you, Renee, for showing that. That's an awesome clip. So, all right, so I guess we're up for number 5.
Okay. Brokeback Mountain. I know she's a smaller character in the film, but she plays a Southern girl quite convincingly. And again, this is early on in her career when she really hasn't proven herself yet. So it kind of struck me when I was watching it that it was a good performance by a good actress before she had really, cut her teeth in the business. So I enjoyed her character in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was going to put it as an honorable mention again because but then again that was in the top 5 movies that I saw
Mm-hmm.
as far as her performance.
Right. Yeah.
So, and she is the wife of Jake Gyllenhaal in the film, and of course he and Heath Ledger have a gay affair out on Brokeback Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
While
Okay, quit you.
Randy Quaid watches.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and at the very end, when Heath Ledger comes looking for Jake Gyllenhaal's character, and she has to explain to him, no, he had an accident. And then while she's telling him about the accident and how he hurt himself, we see him being beaten to death by a bunch of rednecks.
Mm-hmm.
So she's lying to him. And again, it's just a very multifaceted performance. And I was struck by it. It was just a very interesting performance by her.
Yeah.
And at a time when she hadn't been really discovered fully yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I only saw. I think I've only seen it once. And I totally forgot that she was even in it. I remember.
I did as well. I
remember Michelle Williams.
When I was preparing for the show, I was like, "Oh man, she's in Brokeback Mountain."
Yeah.
And I went back and watched it again a couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
And again, was just blown away by the performance. How did I not remember that this was? And again, the reason I didn't realize it was Anne Hathaway was because she wasn't Anne Hathaway yet.
Mm-hmm.
She hadn't been in, Devil Wears Prada or The Dark Knight Rises or any of the movies that we know her for now, and it's put her on the A list. So Interstellar. So you go back and you're like, oh wow, that was her. Ah.
Yeah. It's a hard movie to watch, and not because of the theme, but just knowing that sort of thing happens even now, and that scene at the end where Heath Ledger goes into his house and he's going through his clothes and all this stuff. And, oh man, it's just heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. Yeah.
I've listened to it maybe 50 times. I still don't know what his last line in that movie is.
Yeah.
I can't make it out. I can't make out what his last words were in the movie. Yeah. I know it's something, that he's saying to Jake Gyllenhaal, who's passed on, but I haven't been able to figure out what he says.
Yeah, that accent that he puts on, kind of drawly, sounds like Boomhauer from King of the Hill a little bit. It's hard unless you put on subtitles. It's like what? What is he saying?
That's what I'll have to do. I'll have to, or
Yeah,
maybe it's online somewhere. Somebody had the same problem I did. I'm sure a lot of people had the same problem I
I'm
did.
sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm sure it's online somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's a good choice. That is a good choice. My number 5 is a movie called The Intern, where
Okay.
she co-stars with Robert De Niro. And I was going to mention this movie when we talked about Robert De Niro, but there was so many other great movies that he was in that this one kind of got lost in the shuffle. But now that we're doing Anne
She's young. She's
Hathaway,
Olivia Red. Yeah, there it is.
yeah, it's actually it's a nice, fun little movie. She plays this hard-driven, owner of this startup, and De Niro is this retired man who decides to go back into the workforce, and he becomes her intern, even though he is obviously an older man. But and at first, of course, the all the younger kids are like, "Who's this old guy? What's he doing here?" But he very quickly earns their respect, and he even teaches them a thing or two, especially the guys. Teach them about dressing well and how to treat ladies and all this stuff. And he kind of teaches her how to, hey, you gotta
Take them to a porn
sometimes.
movie. They like that.
Yeah, exactly. uh, so anyway, it's a nice little movie.
Shake things up with a mohawk. You know.
There you go. There you go. No, it's a very good movie, and a very good performance from both Hathaway and De Niro, of course. De Niro that can't give a bad performance, I don't think, and her being so much younger, I mean, she holds her own against him, and doesn't get swallowed up by his performance. She gives just as good a performance as he does, and it's just a fun movie. It's a I'm sorry to get redundant, but yeah, it's definitely worth a watch if you're a fan of either of those two. Uh, so so give it a watch.
It seems like I saw it when it first came out.
Hmm.
Um, and it was funny.
Yeah,
It was played up as a comedy.
yeah, but it has a little bit of drama to it as well. But yeah, it's mostly it's lighthearted, shall we say?
Okay.
Uh, and yeah, it's a little forgettable, unfortunately. I mean, compared to some of his some other De Niro performances and some of the other Hathaway's performances. But for the moment, uh, it's a fun movie to watch. Yeah, yeah, and she does a really it's a good performance from her as well. So, uh, and that's why it's
All
my
right.
number 5. It's number 5 on my list. So
So we get to the honorable mentions part of our
honorable
list.
mentions, yeah, yeah.
We talked about Interstellar.
Hmm.
Um, that was it, I think. As far as I thought earlier, you were going to say Hoodwinked, which is on my
Oh,
honorable mention list.
yeah,
It's if you haven't seen Hoodwinked, it's an animated film,
yeah,
and it pokes fun at a lot of the. It's kind of like Shrek, in that it pokes fun at a lot of the fairy tale stuff,
yeah.
like the Big Bad Wolf, and um, it has a detective character played by David Ogden Stiers. He's a frog. He
Hmm.
is wonderful. And she is good as Red Riding Hood. She is really funny as Red Riding Hood. But the one who really steals the show is Patrick Warburton as the wolf. Oh, yeah. Okay. Point the finger at the wolf. Yeah. Okay. I get
Yeah, I can see that.
it. he's wonderful through the whole movie. And he's actually he's actually a journalist. That's the funny part. I was just trying to get a story here. Okay. At your grandma's house. So a very, very funny animated film. If you haven't seen it, I
Yeah,
highly recommend it. It's a wonderful movie. I think they made a sequel to it. Not so good. But
yeah,
the first one is really good.
yeah. I'm glad you brought that. I forgot about that. I forgot that she was in it. I mean,
Yeah,
I saw it, but I didn't connect the voice to her
right,
character. So,
right.
yeah, I'll have to watch it again.
Bride Wars
Mm,
is a chick flick. It's a chick buddy flick with her and Kate Hudson.
mm.
I really enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. It does have a lot of funny parts in it, you know, and it does make fun of the whole thing about, you know, getting ready for your wedding, that kind of thing. And
The Bridezillas.
yes, so and a great performance by Candice Bergen. Kate Hudson's very good in it, and Anne Hathaway is, you know, adorable. Yet, you know, she can be mean and conniving when she wants to be.
Yeah, yeah,
As a envious bride to be.
yeah.
So that's on my honorable mentions list. Ocean's 8. I thought I would mention it.
Yeah.
Though I can't really remember a lot from it. It's the all female version of the Ocean's
Yeah.
pictures. And she's in it along with a lot of other A-list actresses, including
Kate Blanchett,
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock that we talked about. Yeah. Some others. Yeah. And some other broads.
Some other broads.
Some other broads, you know. Yeah.
Highly appropriate for Ocean's 11, being if the Rat Pack did it first.
Yeah.
I have a dishonorable mention.
Okay.
And that's Get Smart, the remake.
Yeah.
But again, I poo-poo and scoff at that one basically because I just didn't buy Steve Carell as Maxwell Smart.
Yeah.
She played 99 in it, and again, she's cute and funny, and again, Patrick Warburton steals the show as I'm in a robot.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he couldn't save that movie. It was just not that good. I asked myself, did they even watch the original material at all?
You
know,
yeah,
it was just so far from what you would expect.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and
a lot of potential there, but
didn't quite hit. Yeah,
they tried to update it and it didn't work for me. For me, it didn't work.
And you know, as much as I like Anne Hathaway, Barbara Feldon will always be 99 to me.
Yeah.
And she's cute. She was cute and gorgeous.
And she's like 99 now.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I agree.
I'm pretty sure she's still alive, actually.
I don't know. Yeah.
But it's I can't even remember like who played the chief in the new movie and who played Siegfried in the new movie. And I think it was Terrence Stamp maybe played Siegfried.
I think so.
And he's a good actor, don't get me wrong, but the comedic aspect of it just wasn't there for me, you know, with his character. When it was Bernie Koppel was over the top with his Siegfried.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's still alive. She was born in 1933. She's still alive.
She's 91. Yeah. And Alan Arkin?
Yeah. Alan Arkin was the chief. I was thinking to myself, maybe that's who it was. Sorry about that, Chief.
Yeah. And me and Don Adams?
Don Adams was the original Get Smart.
Original one, yeah. James Caan, Alan Arkin, Dwayne Johnson's in this movie. Oh, Agent 23.
Yeah, he's
Patrick Warburton.
Double Agent.
Bill Murray. Yeah, I forgot of these cameos. Yeah, Terrence Stamp. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Bill Murray plays the guy that's always hiding like in a mailbox or something.
Yeah. You just hear his voice. Yeah, he's the Agent 13. Yeah.
Great idea. I guess it was the direction. I guess the director just screwed up.
Yeah.
There was a lot of potential there, and a lot of good actors and actresses. And
Yeah, I'm looking at the cast list. I'm like, wow, that's even Bernie Kopell was back in the movie. It's a different character.
Mm-hmm.
So, all righty. Well, my honorable mentions. Of course, got to mention you mentioned it earlier. The Princess Diaries. I mean, that's what kind of introduced us to Anne Hathaway. And I thought that was it's a cute movie. Julie Andrews. Always a delight to see her in a movie. And and again, you already
Even
start
SOB.
to see the for some other reasons. She kind of
I
shed
want
her.
to since we're on that frame of mind.
Yeah,
Brokeback Mountain. There is some Anne Hathaway nudity in that, although it's rather underwhelming. Sorry, but it's there.
So there you go. I think I had to throw that in for all to reassure the hetero guys about watching this movie.
Oh my god, I gotta watch Brokeback Mountain to see that.
But come on, there's some chicks, there's some nudity. Yeah.
I heard a story from a coworker. That somebody gave someone at a party such a bad gift. It was a horrible gift that he bought a copy of Brokeback Mountain and put it in their mailbox and said, "Merry Christmas." There you go.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I swear to God, I heard that story today.
Yeah.
Now that's cold.
I'm sorry?
Now that's cold.
That is cold, yeah. So Dark Knight Rises and Ocean's 8 are also on my honorable mentions. Alice in Wonderland, where she plays the White Queen, has got to get a mention.
Did I not say that? It was at the top of my list.
Oh, no, you did not.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. Very odd character.
White Queen.
But just delightful. And of course Tim Burton. But yeah, just that weird, creepy smile of hers, and just always seeming very cheerful, and yet she's making up these like poisonous brews, and it's typical Burton. But yeah, now there's a movie that I watched that I hadn't heard of, and so I thought, well, some descriptions sounded really interesting. Now Hathaway doesn't have a huge part in it, but she's definitely a driving force in this movie. It's called Eileen. She plays this counselor or psychologist at this boys' prison, and she meets this woman called Eileen, this young girl, and kind of befriends her. And they both are kind of become very interested in this one boy who allegedly murdered his father, who was a policeman. So of course all the guards and everybody hates him because he's a cop killer and all that. And there's this twist about that and what they wind up doing to his mother, who turns out to be just a piece of work herself. It's a very dark movie, and it's mainly about the girl, her character Eileen, who lives with her father. Used to be a police chief, but now he's just this broken alcoholic character. And it's all about her and her transformation and what happens when she meets Anne Hathaway's character and how that changes her life. And it's just an interesting movie. It's a very kind of more of a psychological thriller. And it almost made my top 5, but it's like, oh no, because there wasn't enough of Anne Hathaway in it to really, but it's a really good, kind of a chilling performance from her. And it's set in the 1960s. And anyway, it's worth a watch. It's worth a watch if you like kind of dark
Come
thriller.
on, Eileen.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I kept thinking that. But anyway, so that made my my honorable mentions list as well. So
Well,
okay,
okay then.
all righty.
Miss Renee.
Yes.
Any thoughts
You have summoned
on?
me. You have summoned me.
Yes.
Any
Any
thoughts on
thoughts
any
on?
movies that we talked about?
I mean, so kind of like Rory, I just hadn't seen a lot of her movies, to be honest. For I don't know why now, but I was listening and I was like, wow, now like there's a lot that I want to see. I definitely want to see the Colossal one.
Yeah,
That like that looks really cool. I love even the
monsters. You
poster.
say?
Yeah. So I just felt like, like that's when I really want to go. And then Brokeback Mountain, I have to see that one. And it's one of those things where I just always like I never saw it. And it's crazy
Oh,
that I haven't seen it. So I do have to go back in, and I didn't even realize she was in that movie. So
yeah, yeah.
It
I
was
said
before she became famous.
yeah.
right. So shock, yeah. But I learned a lot, and so now I'm excited, and I will know more about Anna. That's what I kind of like the shows where you're introducing me to things that I'm not really that well known, well learned about, because then I get to go and figure it out, and I get to introduce to new things. I think that's part of the thing of the show. One of the allures of the show, one of the lures of the show is that you can introduce people to brand new things. I mean, things I've already liked or I've already watched. I've already
Hmm.
watched them, I already like them. So now I see her value more, and I've always heard her name and I've seen her. She's around, but I never really sat down and thought about
It's
Anne
kind of,
Hathaway.
yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
She's just kind of there, lurking in the
he's just kind of
background.
there. I'm just like, okay. So, anyways, that was good. I was where Rory is, but now I'm a little bit more to the Manny
Now
side.
they're a little bit
Trying to
more
get
versed in the Anne Hathaway universe. So
yes,
yeah.
yes. So exactly, we did some good
The
marketing
Hathaway
for her.
verse.
The Anne Hathaway verse, yeah. All right, so next week, a little change of pace. We're going to do an actor that a very classy and classic actor who I think he may have. I don't. No, I got to look it up. I think he passed away here recently, or he may still be around. I need to do a bit better research, and that is Mr. Sidney Poitier.
He did pass away.
That's what I thought. Yeah, but he was and he's an icon in the African American community. He is a guy who broke some color barriers and made some really just terrific movies in the 50s and 60s. And so that's who we're going to talk
Handcuffed
about
Stony
next.
Curtis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So look forward to that.
I'm looking forward to. Thank you for doing that. I love him. I absolutely love him. And you're right. He broke a lot of barriers. He also had a lot of amazing talent. I mean, he's one of these amazing legends and A-listers. But he
Yeah,
also was there for so much of history. So kind of going over his life exposes people to so much that went on in Hollywood and in American culture over decades. I
yeah,
feel like he's one of those where he kind of touched on everything. And so I'm really going to be interested to go through his movies, because so many of them were part of what changed American culture. He's that important. So
yeah.
that's going to
He,
be fantastic to
yeah.
go
I mean, he opened the door for Denzel, for Samuel L. Jackson, for you know, Eddie Murphy, even just all these other wonderful actors that we have now. Morgan Freeman. Sydney is the OG. So yeah, I've been wanting to cover him for a while. So I thought, let's do it now. So yeah. So Renee, I want lots of clips.
What did you say? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said right there.
I said I expect lots of clips.
Oh, absolutely. I've actually one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm looking up the movies that like his whole filmography, and I'm thinking about clips, and I'm like, how do you boil this down? So guys, make sure over the next week, help me to narrow that down. Even if you just say, that clip from that movie or whatever, I can find
Yeah,
it. But there's so many that he is just wow, like he's just riveting. And you're right, he opened the doors for so many people, and I'm just sort
yeah.
of, and I
There's definitely one that I'm thinking of. Well, there's a couple that I'll
okay.
send you
Okay,
that I'll
send
tell you
me
about.
those so that I can have them queued up. And also when you think about him, you think about gravitas, but he also had some
Hmm.
lighter moments, and he definitely had some subdued comedy chops actually.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, he was very versatile. But when
yes,
I think of him, of course, we think of the gravitas. You think of like a
yeah,
Laurence Olivier type presence,
yeah,
really, a huge
yeah.
deal. Yeah, I mean, he's just an amazing actor again. So
Hmm.
somebody who really studied the craft, had respect for the
Hmm.
craft, and he had
Yeah,
respect for Hollywood. And again, his career is the story of Hollywood
yeah,
and America, kind of.
yeah. So
Woody
and even if you
Strode, but
don't,
he was better.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, not to diminish anyone else. Yeah, Woody Strode definitely was in there and also offered a lot of great performances. I mean, Sergeant Rutledge. If you haven't seen that movie, please do yourselves a favor and watch that movie. Um,
That is a
yeah,
Woody Strode
and if
film, I'm guessing.
yeah, yeah. Um, and it's a western, and it has Jeffrey Hunter in it, and it's an excellent movie. It's a courtroom drama, basically. Um, and if you just happen to not be familiar with Sidney Poitier, I think you're gonna recognize a lot of the movies that we're gonna talk about. So anyway, all right. Well, um, thank you for watching this episode, and we will see you next week. Thanks for watching this episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal Talking About Movies. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to get future episodes.